Hey team, how are we feeling after last week's planes? It was a little bit challenging, and we really have to think about why we're making these decisions, which I do think steps up our game a little bit. Instead of kind of copying what I'm doing, I'm trying to make you make decisions that are right for you and hopefully something that you really understand as well. So this week we're going to really step up our game and we're going to apply the idea of using planes to a nose. Now, the most important thing that I want you to do is keep things simple at the start. Simplify your shape into 3 or 4 different planes and then add a few more, but then go into your shading, then go into the details. So we want to keep it as simple as possible for as long as possible, and we will still get really good results. So grab your pencils and let's get started. So let's take this nose. Let's simplify it into 4 different planes. You first got the bridge of the nose, which travels down the top, and it kind of gets a little bit wider near the base, near the ball of it. Then you've got the 2 wings either side, followed by the shadow underneath. So everything that's a little bit darker underneath will be the 4th plane. Next, we're just going to add a little bit more detail on this. So we'll think about the shape of the nostril because we've got a bit of a shadow on there, and also the underneath nostril followed by the shadow. Not forgetting, of course, the monobrow between the eyebrows. So that's as far as I would take it in terms of putting planes on this nose. It doesn't really need that much more than this. We've got the turn of the nose, we've got the ball, the wings, and the nostrils as well. So now it's time to shade in those chunks of planes, just in very simple light to medium to dark shading before we add any detail. So just look at the image and ask yourself, is the wing darker or lighter than the brow of the nose? It's a little bit darker. Is the under part of the nose, so the nostrils, is that lighter or darker than the wing? A bit darker than the wings, so we know that we could push that a bit darker as well. So we're setting the values in the planes to make sure that we're starting to see a slightly 3D effect. Even in just the simplest of forms like this, you can start to imagine that this is a triangular shape coming forward, and that's helping us to see it because we have the planes, we've got the value set, and it just starts to help with the 3D effect. So once you've done that, you're going to start to blend the edges a bit because the nose isn't geometric. It is actually very round, very smooth. So we want to soften the edges and push values darker where they need to be. So this is the 4th stage of our drawing, where we're starting to refine the detail, refine the edges, and just get a bit more of a realistic approach to the nose. And as soon as you get your nostrils in, the dark pit black holes of the nostrils, you'll see that your shading is actually incredibly light. So please go incredibly dark on the nostril holes, and everything will just kind of settle from there, or it won't, and you know that you need to do a bit more work. But we all know that nostril holes are deadly black, so shade those in first. Then work your way around. So the remaining part of the drawing is kind of just taking your time on it and refining the edges, trying not to get rid of your light sources. So, the wings of your nostrils, they're not white, but they're also not the same color as the wings. So there's a lot of back and forth here trying to play around with shade. Keep looking at the image and keep softening those edges, trying to find the darker patches and the lighter patches, and eventually you will end up with a nose that is popping and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe I've drawn a nose. Noses, well, some people hate noses. I actually love drawing noses, so for me this is a real enjoyable experience, and I hope after this exercise it's a little bit more enjoyable for you as well. As always, team, if you like supporting small businesses and artists, then please head on over to Patreon, where you can support me from just £3 a month to keep these videos going. Just click the link in the description and it will take you there. All right, team, that is it. We have done it. or maybe you're about to spend a bit more time in it. I'm not sure. But this is a really fun exercise. I think I say this about all of the drawings I'm giving you. Maybe I'm biased. But no, I do hope you enjoy that. I hope it kind of makes a bit more sense now that we've applied planes to a more complicated object. And we'll do the same next week. We'll try something else and see if we can just keep applying it and keep understanding why we're making these decisions and how easily a 3D object can appear. So enjoy yourselves, best of luck, and don't forget to show me if you want or if you need any pointers. I'm happy to help, and I'll see you next week for another lesson.